Dr. Anthony Fauci goes all in on Davos and says the COVID-1984 pandemic won't end until the planet goes green and we're all driving a Prius. Meanwhile, robots replace fans in sports stadiums so that we can all stay safe. Plus, he's back. Papal advisor Jeff Sachs explains how legal abortion will save the planet. Nevertheless, Catholic never-Trumpers say Donald Trump is soft on LGBTQRS, and we just can't vote for him. All that and more tonight from the editor's desk. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Matt coming back to you once again from the offices of the Remnant newspaper. We've got a quick announcement tonight. As many of you know, liberal Minnesota, the state where nothing is allowed, is actually in play for Trump this year, incredibly.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle. I'm the founder of MAGA Soda. We're the largest network of Trump supporters in the state of Minnesota, and we've been working all year long to get President Trump over the finish line here in the state of Minnesota. We are hosting a Trump rally in honor of our great president on September 19th from 3 to 6 p.m. We also have a Facebook event out there. It's called the Trump Rally Minnesota 2020. You can get a lot of detailed information there and tickets. We have a great lineup of speakers, but the best speaker is going to be Michael. And Michael has agreed to come out and address our rally. It will be amazing. I can't wait to hear his message every time Michael talks. I get goosebumps. So you guys have to come out and check him out. See you then.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, despite that beautiful plug that she gave our show, I've never met this woman, and I'm just really excited about what she's trying to do. She's organized some successful rallies already. So come on down for that, because things here, again, are heating up. Our Governor Walz, wow, this guy he's just all over the place. He's out there like a planet. Now he wants to actually extend his COVID-1984 emergency powers, which is fun, which is cute. The only problem is we don't have an emergency. So all of us are a bit perplexed about that. Why is this guy trying to extend his draconian orders and lockdowns and, keeping the churches at 25% and all this nonsense? Little kiddies getting on the bus now with the face diapers on. It's just crazy, And it makes you think, remember the good old days when this was all about flattening the curve? Remember 15 days to flatten the curve and all that? Well, guess what? Good news. Everybody except for the folks in power, they know the curve is now flat as a pancake. Check this out.
A new study from medical scientists at UCLA and Stanford University finds the likelihood of contracting the coronavirus is much, much lower than previously thought. As part of the study, doctors reviewed public cases of infection in 100 of the largest counties across the nation. They found that an average person in an average county has a 1 in 3,836 chance of getting infected with the coronavirus, and that's without wearing a mask or doing any social distancing. For an average person between 50 and 64 years old, the chances of getting the virus and needing hospitalization are 1 in 852,000. And for that same person who's at risk, the chances of dying from coronavirus are 1 in 19.1 million.
1 in 19 million chance of me dying, but I'm supposed to be terrified. I'm supposed to be wearing a mask all over the place. Isn't that something? Is anybody else aware of this? Are they talking about fake news? Is that what it is? Is fake news? Oh, I'm sure that's exactly what it is. They got something else in mind, friends. Gates and company, Al Gore, the folks at the World Economic Forum, the UN, all these guys. Because you know what they're doing. We all know what they're doing now. They're basically just admitting it's not a conspiracy theory anymore. They want to use COVID to fundamentally change the planet, these people, in their arrogance. That's what they want to do. They want to change how, when, where we travel, how we worship, obviously. Many of you are waiting to go back to Mass, right? Because we can't go to work, we can't do that. And throw that graphic up on the screen of an airplane full of people and empty churches or quarter-filled churches. Why don't the bishops look at that and say, gee, what are we doing? Why do we still have the churches locked? Can you imagine? Based on what? Why are we putting everyone through this? Unless the point and purpose of the exercise is to make life miserable until we're all ready for the Great Reset, until we're all ready to change fundamentally how we live our lives. You know, they're not even letting people have parties out in California. Even Minnesota, you're not supposed to get together with large groups outside the family. Can't go to concerts, sports stadiums. Again, as we said, they're beginning to look like something right out of 1984. Here in Minnesota, they got cardboard cutouts. You can spend $40 to get your face put on a cardboard piece of cardboard, stick it in a stand. They pipe in the crowd noise, and now you're at the game. How much more Orwellian can they get? And here's something. This looks like it's right out of 1984. Check this out from a stadium in Japan. Doesn't that look like fun? I mean, that is surreal. That's like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And they're supposed to be excited. I think they're serious. These people are serious. You know, like that's going to make the game fun. It's madness, friends. It's madness. The good news is lots of folks around the world are waking up. That's a lot of people. This is in Germany. A lot of people. And now, you know, I mean, this is happening all over Europe. Some of the biggest protests that people have seen in a long time. And now even this character is calling for the Great Reset. I mean, Fauci has been the little mystery man all along, hasn't he? Well, he's pretty much coming out of the closet now. He's calling essentially for the Great Reset. In an August 21st, 2020 cellpress.com piece, it's called Emerging Pandemic Diseases, How We Got COVID-19, Dr. Fauci writes the following. We live in a human-dominated world in which our increasingly extreme alterations of the environment induce increasingly extreme backlashes from nature. Now, where have I heard that before? Sounds familiar. That's right. It's this guy. Yeah, that's it. Well, Pope Francis was pointing that out a long time ago. As we said, Pope Francis is in lockstep with these guys, and that's where we heard that before. Now, get this. Fauci actually says, and I quote, "Science will surely bring us many life-saving drugs, vaccines, and diagnostics. However, there is no reason to think that these alone can overcome the threat of ever more frequent and deadly emergences of infectious diseases. We remain at risk," says Dr. Fauci, "for the foreseeable future." You see what's going on here? It isn't going anywhere. This isn't going anywhere. Even if Trump wins, there's going to be a fight over this because they're using fear, and they're using fear very effectively. They have billions of people now wearing face masks. Many of them are wearing them in their cars. It's working. They're using fear of a virus to implement their globalist agenda, which includes, again, according to the scientist, according to Dr. Anthony Fauci, massive changes in human activity. Fauci writes, quote, "Living in greater harmony with nature will require changes in human behavior, as well as other radical changes that may take decades to achieve. Rebuilding the infrastructures of human existence, from cities to homes to workplaces to water and sewer systems to recreational and gatherings venues, we will need to prioritize changes in those human behaviors that constitute risks from the emergence of infectious diseases." Oh, I see. So this is all about saving the planet. That makes sense. But the problem is, obviously, we can conclude that if we don't go along with this, if you don't go along with this plan, you're going to be a killer. You're going to be a hater. You see, you're going to be endangering the entire planet. You're going to be guilty of crimes against humanity. Do you see how this works? So when you lecture me about how I'm supposed to just obey and wear my mask, do you understand what a lemming you're being, how controlled you are? What's next for you? In the name of keeping us safe. Friends, this is the first global medical dictatorship in the history of the world. That's what we're living through. We are living through history right now. This is the UN Agenda 2030. This is Pope Francis. This is Jeff Sachs. This is the Sustainable Development Goals. They don't want to do this in increments. They want to do it like that. They want to do it quickly. In order to do this, they had to stop the world. And they're going to start it up according to the UN 2030 agenda. Maybe you want to call it the Green Agenda, you know, AOC and the New Green Deal. That's how we package it here in America. But COVID, however, whatever you call it, COVID, the pandemic, the recovery, the green recovery is key to the success of this whole thing, and that is what we're living through. They got preschoolers now. Preschoolers in training for this, getting used to this Orwellian brainwash, mind control, nerve jamming stuff. The school kids are getting trained, brainwashed. The politicians are involved. You don't see Bill Gates wearing face masks very often, though, do you? Really, not too much. Nor George Soros. Those guys seem to not want to wear those masks. Go ahead and Google it. See if you can find Bill Gates in a face mask. I bet you can't. But all of us are in face masks, aren't we? Even the Pope now partnering with the co-author of the Sustainable Development Goals. Everything we're talking about right here. The reason you're wearing that mask right now is because of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. If you still don't know what those are, Google them. I think there are 17 of them. This is what is everything that we're going through is all about, okay? This guy, Jeff Sachs, co-authored, along with Ban Ki-moon of the United Nations, the Sustainable Development Goals to help reduce the world population, to help save the planet. Well, here he is. Here's the Pope's advisor talking about abortion.
Places where contraceptives are widely available, where women can discreetly gain access to their contraceptive desires, tend to have lower fertility rates. Where abortion is legalized, fertility rates tend to be lower. The ability to meet sustainable development will depend on the future of population dynamics. The dynamics of the world will look very different if the world population reaches 11 billion at the end of the century versus stabilizing and even falling gradually below 7 billion.
I don't know, friends. I've played so much of this guy's stuff, and this one is a video I hadn't seen before. Our friends at Lepanto Institute had that up in one of their videos. But to me, it just should end. It should be an end to this discussion of what is happening with Francis, what is happening with the Vatican. I don't understand why it's not. I don't understand why everybody who's watching this, even if you're a Mark Shea, how do you look at that and say, well, I think everything's normal. It's just remnant TV, Michael Matt being an extremist, being a nut job, right? This is a papal advisor. This is a guy who was invited to the Amazon Synod as a special guest. This is a guy who's been wandering in and out of the Vatican 20, 30 times to give addresses to cardinals and bishops at the Pontifical Academy of the Sciences. And there he is, friends. There he is, talking about contraception, talking about abortion, and how that's going to lower the thing. So people say, oh my gosh, Trump pulled us out of the Paris Climate Treaty. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Didn't you hear what he just said? The Paris Climate Treaty, the Sustainable Development Goals, the Great Reset, it's all about reducing the world's population. And the Vatican is right on board with this, friends. Jeffrey Sachs just admitted it. I didn't tell you what to think about that. I didn't quote him. I played it for you. There's no excuse anymore to stay in denial about what is happening in the Vatican and the part that the Vatican is playing in all of this as chaplain of the New World Order. This is the type of person, Jeff Sachs now, that Francis holds in high regard, and yet he's a pro-abort. What's happening to us? Why are we not screaming from the housetops, calling for Francis? I don't know what the papal precedent would be, but calling on him to resign, to get out of our church. What's he doing in our church, dressed in white? You tell me how we're supposed to react to this. And if nobody cares, if the priests and the bishops don't care, and I just saw that this Father Altman is getting in trouble. His bishop's going to throw him under the bus because he's saying,
I'm sure.
Jimmy Martin gets to run around doing whatever he wants, promoting the gay agenda. But one guy comes out and says, you know what? You can't vote for Biden if you're a Catholic. And now he's going to get in trouble with his bishop. Really? You know what? If the Catholic Church, if it's not going to do anything to defend us against these population-controlling pro-abort globalists, then we've got to take St. Paul's advice to the Corinthians and go out and preach in the regions beyond us. Go to the highways and the byways and sound the alarm to whomever will listen.
Coach Lou Holtz was absolutely right. Joe Biden is not Catholic. If you're a Catholic and you're watching Alex Jones, please understand, you cannot vote for Joe Biden. You cannot vote for Joe Biden and claim to be a faithful Catholic.
Well, what about hearing Christian groups, but also, Catholic groups, other groups saying?
And incredibly now, even though so many people are seeing it who aren't even Catholics, and I'll close on this, many never-Trumping traditional Catholics are still insisting that since Donald Trump, you could be stronger on abortion, and he's mean in those tweets. He's doing all, I don't like his attitude, and he's soft on the LGBTQRS crowd, so we can't vote for him. I don't understand this, friends, because we seem to be forgetting our own polemic as traditionalists, our own argument. Where is he supposed to find the moral high ground to take a stand on that when this is Pope Francis?
Gracias por todo esto. Ay, qué hermosa foto. Gracias. Que Dios lo bendiga.
You see what I'm saying? Why are we expecting, pre-Vatican II Catholicism from Donald J. Trump? He's just trying to figure out what's right and wrong right now. He's looking at the church going, is this wrong? You guys are going for this? Are you still pro-life? What are you doing with the marriage thing and homosexuality? I know you're changing your teaching on divorce, right? He's just trying to figure out what's going on because the Catholic Church is no longer clear to anyone. You see, princes, presidents, prime ministers, they were supposed to be able to look to the church for direction, for the moral authority that they need to defend and enforce the moral law, the natural law, right? And when the princes of the church began to drop the ball on this leaves the princes of the state a little confused, especially ones like Trump. He's not a daily communicant. He's not a particularly religious guy. He's trying to do the right thing here. You see, this isn't happening anymore. The church isn't there anymore. Why are we expecting Trump to know what Francis himself is not teaching? Or what he is teaching on the opposite side? Francis seems much more worried now about climate change and the sustainable development goals than he is about the fires of hell or the 10 Commandments. When's the last time Francis talked about sin or the 10 Commandments other than sins against our mother, our common home, sins against the environment? He's big on that one. And the reality is, friends, Trump's trying to do the best he can, in my opinion, given what he's got, given that the church, the moral authority of the Catholic Church is pretty much gone now. Trump has done much more to defend life than Francis has. Remember Francis? You don't want to be procreating like bunnies. We don't want to get too wound up about abortion. Remember, that's how he started things off in his pontificate. Because Christian pro-lifers now, Trump has done a lot of great things for pro-lifers, as we saw with people like Abby Johnson at the RNC. They're standing strong. Someone who's dedicated her life to the pro-life fight, standing strong with Donald Trump. Why? Why is Trump standing with them? Why is he standing with us? Because Christian pro-lifers like that have refused to let the issue die. They're ready to die in defense of the unborn. You see? They're out there right now doing exactly what Pope Francis and his bishops should be doing now, used to do, the popes and bishops of the Catholic Church, and that is condemning something like abortion, not only as as injurious to the dignity of the unborn baby, but as a crime, as a sin against God and man. You see, they don't talk that way anymore. Nobody cares about the law of God. Nobody cares about the rights of God. Nobody cares that abortion is a soul-damning mortal sin. We don't use the language of Catholicism anymore. It's just a violation of the rights of the human person, at best, if they say anything at all about it. You see? But that's not true of a lot of our Protestant friends. Their outrage, their witness, their testimony every day for pro-lifism encourages a politician like Donald Trump to fight for the unborn because he sees people who care about it. But he doesn't see that from the Catholic leadership anymore. And when he looks to most of the Catholic shepherds today, what does he hear? He hears the preaching of the gospel of climate change, immigration, open borders, universal health care, distribution of wealth, and most of the rest of Bernie Sanders' platform coming out of the mouths of the shepherds, the successors of the apostles. And you expect Donald Trump to be strong on Catholic moral theology, or you're not going to vote for him. Good grief. Are you kidding me? If Trump is weak on homosexuality, and I don't think he's particularly weak, he just wants to be fair to everybody, and he's made that clear. He doesn't promote the LGBT agenda. He's just trying to be a nice guy, being fair to everybody. He's not sure where people stand on these things anymore. But if he is weak on it, it's only because the Catholic Church has signaled the total surrender on that question, and, for that matter, on nearly everything else as well.
Do you affirm that white privilege is unfair and harmful to those who have it and to those who do not? Yes. Do you affirm that white privilege and the culture of white supremacy must be dismantled wherever it is present? Yes. Do Do you support racial equity, justice, and liberation for every person? Yes. Do you affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person? Yes. Therefore, from this day forward, will you strive to understand more deeply the injustice and suffering white privilege and white supremacy cause?
Oh,
Yes.
man, just
Will you commit
just
to
cut
help?
it off. What is that? Don't you wish these guys just once, these apostates, just once, would show that they care as much about the slaughter of the unborn babies as they do about the Marxist agenda of liberalism in our country? Aren't you sick and tired of these people? Trump speaks at the pro-life march in D.C., first president in history to ever do that. He does little things like defunding Planned Parenthood. He stands strong with the little sisters of the poor. He stands for your freedom to worship God, to defend yourselves, for our Second Amendment rights. He's doing all that for the unborn, for us, trying to represent us as best as he possibly. Does politics come into it a little bit? Probably, but he goes much deeper than he has to on the abortion question, right? He already has our vote. Why is he going so deep on abortion? He could just placate us and pacify us like George W. Bush always used to do with his little pro-abortion wife, remember? Not Trump. Trump's all in with pro-lifers. That's why we love him. That's why the pro-life movement loves him so much. So while he's doing all that, here's a question for you. Where's the Catholic Church? Where's Francis's defense of the unborn? You know, they're talking Pachamama and the common home, you know, and sins against the environment. Hey, Francis, how about an encyclical on the slaughter of the unborn? How about that? In your next little encyclical about humanity and the brotherhood of man and whatever other nuggets you pulled out of a John Lennon ditty, you know? Where are the bishops to back Donald Trump? They're so terrified of losing their stupid tax-exempt status that even when a priest comes out and says, you know what? It might be a good idea not to vote for pro-abort apostates. And the bishops are like, off with his head. How dare you talk politics? What's the point of the Catholic Church? If, at a time like this, her priests and bishops can't even say anything to try to save the country, save souls and save babies because they're going to lose their financial benefits. So don't say anything about Joe Biden. Mock Donald Trump whenever you can, because the American Catholic bishops need the cash that's involved with being liberal toadies and lackeys. Meanwhile, Trump comes out and he gives Coach Lou Holtz the Presidential Medal of Freedom last week, you know, for what he said at the RNC, for standing up for the unborn.
So I just want to congratulate Coach Lou Holtz on soon to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and we look forward to that.
And this is why I'm particularly just disheartened by some of our good friends and allies who identify with traditional Catholicism and so forth, and they're on our side of the battlefield. Now they're out there on social media blasting Donald Trump for not being Christian enough. Where's he supposed to get this? You know, we mustn't vote for Donald Trump unless he, who's a Protestant, by the way, unless he champions aspects of Catholic moral theology that have been abandoned by most in the church, including Francis, who's out there hugging married gay couples and telling the church to lighten up on the rules and on divorce and not to procreate like rabbits. There's Israel, a favorite of the United Nations. They love this guy. I don't know, friends, I'm getting going long here, but Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano is out there killing himself every day trying to do something about this. As nuncio from the Vatican, third, fourth most powerful man in the church a few years ago, he knows the inside, he knows the demons, he knows who's in the swamp, he knows who's in the deep state, and he's writing letters to Donald Trump. He's writing letters of support to Donald Trump. He's praying for Donald Trump's reelection. He's leading the charge in national rosary campaigns for Donald Trump's reelection. And there's a couple of traditionalists out there on Twitter and Facebook taking Vigano down for encouraging Donald Trump, for praying for Donald Trump. What in the world? What hubris? What arrogance? You don't think Vigano understands what he's doing here? You don't think he understands the situation quite like you do? You know, why is Vigano doing this? He's doing this because Trump is the best that we have right now. And because Trump can uphold Christian morality as best he can Right now, he's been showing his willingness to do that, to stand with the little sisters of the poor, to stand with the pro-lifers, the little people out there, the basket of deplorables Trump has, while he's getting precious little backing from the Catholic Church. And yeah, Vigano stands with him, and I stand with Vigano.
Let us pray for the United States of America. Let us pray for our president. Let us pray for his victory, that the Lord God of hosts, Dominus Deus Sabaoth, will grant that he may know how to place himself under God's protection.
And that goes on. We'll put a link down here below. You can watch that. Pray along with that rosary and pray for Archbishop Vigano that he has the strength to continue. Trump's not a saint. And neither am I. And neither are you. But friends, if we sit on our hands, if we sit this one out because we're just too pure to be sullied by the likes of Donald Trump, if we let Joe the Catholic Biden take this country over, maybe we just don't deserve to be spared the hell on earth that Trump's political opponents are planning for us right now, beginning in a couple of months. Maybe we just don't deserve it. God does not demand that we only vote for saints and daily communicants at a time like this. This is not another political season. It's a spiritual war against principalities and powers who are posing as globalists and Democrats. It's a holy war, and it's time to fight it. I'm Michael Matt for Remnant TV. Thank you for listening, and I really do hope to see you at the Trump rally in Northfield, Minnesota next week. God bless you.